So time for a new video. I've been sick the last few days, so I didn't made any videos, but of course I still kept the group updated. So let's see what happened now. I first go over a bit what I think about the current situation with Bitcoin, and I will do the two recaps of the short on Solana and on Doge. So that's what we're gonna do. So first of all, what did we had for Bitcoin? As said early in the week, we had that slow grind up. We had a little accumulation right here on Sunday, and since then we moved up. So if we zoom in a bit more, we can see that since then price has been slowly pushing higher, leaving a lot of liquidity behind. And then always on, if you have a sharp move to either side on a Monday, that brings you at risk that it's a manipulative move to put in the weekly high and then get a move down. So what we saw was that price took out the weekend high, which was printed on Sunday, left a lot of local liquidity behind, right here, full liquidity trail, and then price started to take out that high and from there go down, manipulation on New York Open, and then a strong sell-off. And that sell-off brought us into super interesting levels actually. Price with a pretty wild Monday's range with Monday's high right there, Monday's low there. And then we tapped into a important level right here, which is an order block. We bounced from it, but so far we have a naked low, so I'm not trusting this move all too much. If we zoom out a bit more, we can see that right here, this has been our main range. We have 1, 2, 3 potential third tap of the range high. So important level to watch. If we put the volume profile from this whole level since basically 14th of July, we can see that the volume area high and the point of control are both located around 119k. So that's a really big level for if we get a retrace into that. That's a level bulls definitely want to hold and then give a bounce from. Falling below those levels will mean a rotation back towards monthly open and potentially lower. So yeah, just from a range trading perspective, this could potentially be a local high and that we see lower levels. So if we look at a bit more, for example, on the 4-hour, we can also see that we have a market structure break in which our market structure was skipping a few points like this. Right there, up, down. This is the low that brought us into this high. So this is the last low for a new high. And we see that we broke below that level. So technically speaking, we can expect a lower high for a new lower low. And that's also what I'm currently leaning towards. It could be different, of course, if we are full bull, then this could just be a liquidity grab before higher. But yeah, following my system and just the things I see in general, I expect this low to be taken out once again, and then from there accumulate, and then potentially get that move up again. But I don't have too much trust that this was everything already and that we will reach new highs from here. So what I'm looking at is this area right here. It's a really big level to look for a lower high. There are a lot of confluences to expect a lower high. So I'm looking personally for short triggers right here. And then the first target is this low to take out that low. And then this is that value area high and point of control area. So potential short here for longs later on is for me the play currently. We also have our weekly P1 currently located right here, and our weekly P2 is right here. If we look at the weekly statistics, this high is pretty strong because it's printed on Monday and we have seen quite a lot of displacement lower. So yeah, also from a statistical perspective, this is a strong high while this is a weaker low. Right now it's on Tuesday, so it could still be a pretty good low, but overall, if we take everything in account, I'm leaning more towards this high holding, that low be taken out later, and then watch for potential shorts right here and longs lower down. So yeah, simply that's the plan for now. Quickly going to USDT because I shared this one yesterday and said how we were reaching the extreme levels of this local range. and we saw exhaustion. So price has been in a bearish trend since we deviated the range highs right here. Price was very aggressively trending lower right here. But we saw that instead of that aggressive push lower, price started to get exhausted here. So often you have like, this is the strong downtrend, then you get sideways and then potential reversal. So here we saw that we had range low, took out that range low, put in a deviation, which was in confluence with Bitcoin taking that high on a Monday. And since this chart took out the local range lows on a Monday, I was also a bit cautious that this could potentially be the weekly low. So yeah, I warned that if this gave that push up, which was around here, it could retest the range low and then from there continue higher. And that's what we saw. So that was a nice confluence once again. And right now it's in a pretty interesting spot because we deviated the range low. This can be seen like potential deviation of the range high and that we are just simply back in the range. That is the more bullish idea. But yeah, so far this could also push higher. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. Maybe we get one more sweep and then a reclaim. But if we reclaim like this range high area, then we have to keep an eye on this liquidity trail, because once you start taking that, I think once we start taking these highs, then it will be a quick move to all that buy side liquidity and tap into potentially this supply area with that big imbalance right above it. So few important levels to keep an eye on. For now, price is yeah, back in the range, but yeah, a lot can happen. It can, if you see deeper pullback, then probably it's just deviation to the low, deviation to the high, back neutral. But right now I would still keep an eye on potential strength right here, in which we have to keep an eye on higher prices. So that's the view which is in confluence with Bitcoin. Then let's discuss the two shorts. I took two shorts this week. First one is this one on Solana. Let's hide it, zoom out a bit right here. So I shared this chart, I think last week, how clean it was, because like here we saw that uptrend, right? A lot of yeah, like bullish trend, but not giving any good opportunity. So this is the areas where it's very important to remain patient. If you're not in a position, you can start feeling FOMO and start forcing things. But always after those moves, eventually you get like a clean range, and that's where you can work with. So that's what happened here, where we eventually formed a range high, a range low, and then we could watch this range. So, and then we deviated the high. So that means that we have a range high, sweep of the range high, potential distribution. And I especially like this chart because this was like the last supply zone left before price. Like if we pushed above this, then yeah, nothing would hold it back basically from 250, because this is basically only liquidity. So it's what I call an inflection point. Either you stay below it and continue lower, or you reclaim it and then you have much higher price. So that's always a level I like to do business. So at that point I put another alert above this high to watch for local potential model 1 distribution, in which you take the high once more. And that's exactly what happened. What was also nice is that we had weekend liquidity. So this was on Saturday, range low on Saturday, so weekend low. It's nice. And then we made tap 2 of the distribution, came back down, and from here we can see that this is basically all liquidity. So a lot of lows building up right there, which makes it an easy way down if you start breaking structure. So that was a nice confluence. And then in confluence with USDT, the dominance that was potentially accumulating, and BTC that was also looking more distributive to me. I was very interested in shorts, so I was zoomed in more right here. So basically here all the time you have like an uptrend, so you can't short anything here, and you're waiting for the range high to be hit, either a model 2 in which you would take out extreme liquidity, which is probably this level right here. But yeah, I always love the Model 1 more because then you have very little room of error. So if we look at the local market structure right here, you're simply trending up. And right here, your 5-minute market structure was right here. So you could say this is your break structure level. But if we go to the lower time frame, which was what I was, and I would be very, very cautious always on the low time frame because there's a lot of low time frame price action that can put you on the wrong direction. But if you are really clean and sure what you want to see, like I wanted to see a sweep of that high, acceptance back in the original range high, which is this level right here. So at that point I saw 1-minute structure was right here, high, higher low, higher high. So at that point you broke structure right here on the 1 minute already. And then even we created some supply in the process. Supply up. So there we had the break of structure, and then you can also see like more eventually here you break structure again, come back into the supply, and then move down. So there was enough opportunities here to get in a short and use this as your stop loss. It was also on a pretty good moment to put in a high. So that was another Confluence. Let's see what my exact entry was. Yeah, so I entered like here we had the break structure, and then I entered right here because sometimes when your invalidation is clean, then I just like to enter a bit more aggressive, which was in this case the situation. So what happened from there? Price simply came down, eventually also broke that 5-minute structure right here, and since then price has slowly been taking liquidity after liquidity. So, and that's why a liquidity trail is so important, because right here, as I told, this was all liquidity right there. And once you start taking it from here, you see that price slowly grinds lower and lower and lower, simply because it wants to take all that liquidity. And the trend is always your friend. So once you start taking sell side liquidity, you can expect price to continue in that direction. So eventually full TP got hit, 7R trade, which is amazing and shows why patience is so important, because I also am a human. I also felt like feeling like missing out, but yeah, like you cannot time this. Yeah, either you have to trade some EMAs or a trend strategy, but yeah, in general, entering right here, where is your stop loss? Gonna not enter here, stop loss there, and then ride it higher, right? So this is where patience comes in, and trusting the system that eventually a new setup will form. And that's like these setups are the perfect example of that with enough patience they will form again. This was a Wyckoff Model 1 trade, pretty clean, but a bit hard to trade with the low time frame. The other one was DOGE, which was super easy. Also very similar to SOL, where we have this order block, price came into that. So an inflection point, either you break above and then you go to the major range high, or you stay below and you form a range. So what price did was that we here, like boom, trending up. This was my range starting point. So range high, range low. And then here we did not sweep the high, so it was not a clean Wyckoff model or anything, but more a clean range deviation setup, in which this is your range high, you deviated the range high, so a deviation setup, price came back aggressively into the range, so you have acceptance in your range. I think even we can look at the volume profile. If price came, okay, that yeah, so as you can see, you have your range, point of control, value area high, deviation above the highs, aka liquidity grab, acceptance back in the range below the value area high, which is here. So at that point, I knew we have a high on Monday, potential weekly P1, a weekly pivot. So Confluence with the statistics. And we bounced from the POC, we came back in the range high retest, aka a underside retest of the range high, and then I shoot, like it was also during New York or slightly after New York. So at that point let's see, what was the entry? Yeah, I did not even wait for local market structure break. Can look if we still got that. But sometimes when, like if you have a super clean deviation, the high on Monday, potential deviation, except it's back in the range high retest. At this point, I just liked to enter because I knew if this setup wants to succeed, you should not get back to this level. If you do so, simply invalidate the trade. But for me, it was worth it to enter here, stop loss above that high, and target also here all this liquidity that has been building up. Once again, weekend liquidity. Look, all liquidity. So yeah, for me, enough reason to take the trade and, well, enter it. Direct move down on New York Open. At that point, I trilled my stop to that high, almost risk-free. And yeah, full TP got hit. Right here, 2.67R. So pretty nice trade. Two clean range trades, and that's why I love ranges so much. And yeah, sometimes it's hard because when we got this rally up, everyone is celebrating and it feels like you are missing out. But yeah, most of the things you see is all fake. So you should ignore that and just wait patiently till you get your setups again. And yeah, when they form, you should take them. Quick look at BTC. Yeah, nothing has changed. So yeah, basically that's my view with the two trades. I'm looking for shorts, however. Right here, we can come into this level, which is like probably some supply. So maybe if we go up during New York, we are entering the more important trading hours to put in potential pivots. Right now, structure is simply up, but maybe if we create a high, break structure, then I'm looking for shorts to target this low and lower levels, because as said, our weekly bias is as of now bearish. So strong high, weak low. If we continue that, it's not weird to see like a retrace, lower high, lower low, and then tap into these levels where we have the point of control and the value area high, from where I'm super interested in longs again. So yeah, that's the plan. Just playing it level to level. I'm shorting the highs when I see setup. I'm longing the lows when I see setup. I'm also wrong often enough. So yeah, let's see what happens. I will update everything as always in the mastermind. Check the pinned post on my X if you want to join. Free access, more or less. So thanks for watching, everyone, and happy trading. Cheers.